Well, the international breaks are all done and we are in to the final stretch as we return for match week 39 of the EFL Championship season 2024-25. 8 games to go, the run-in begins and it is tense in all areas of the table. 11 out of 12 fixtures take place this weekend as we say good luck to Preston representing the Championship in the FA Cup quarter-final. We'll be back on Sunday evening to look ahead to their midweek rearranged game against Derby. But today we are going to focus on preview and predict the scoreline for the 11 weekend fixtures in match week 39. Make sure you do the same down in the comments as well. And as always, if you beat or match my overall score, you will get a shout out in the next recap. For now though, before we go and get ahead to this weekend's action, let's have a look back at the weekend before the international break in match week 38, which I started blisteringly with 2 perfect scores out of 2. Bristol City beating Norwich 2-1, Millwall beating Stoke 1-0. All went a little downhill after that. I was at Kenilworth Road to watch Luton, failed to put away so many chances. I got 1 point for that draw there, and I also got a point for Preston and Burnley's wins respectively. Overall though, another very solid week for me. That is 9 points in total with 2 perfect scores and 3 correct outcomes. And I was amongst a sea of people in joint third place. Myself, Marco, Mello and Mick all picked up 9. And all of us, I think, got 2 perfect scores out of that as well. We were pipped by 2 people who found a third perfect score and got themselves into double figures on 12. Regular players Peter and the return to form of Steve. 12 points for both of you. You are our joint match week winners for 38. But are you going to be able to replicate it this weekend? We start on Friday night and it's with a service announcement as well. Since September, due to the house move up north and all of that stuff, we have not done any live streams on the channel. We will be live on Friday night to watch this game here on the podcast YouTube channel. Come and join us for the chat, looking ahead to the weekend and watching this game, because on ITV4 and on Sky Sports, it is Sheffield United versus Coventry City. An 8 p.m. kickoff between 2 sides in slightly different races, but both looking at promotion at the moment. Sheffield United currently holds second, only behind Leeds on goal difference, and Coventry City up in 5th place, 2 points clear of 7th in the race for the playoffs. Both sides got their victory last time, another crucial one for Sheffield United. This time a 1-0 away win in the Steel City derby, completing the 1-0 double this season in fact. Ryan Brewster popping up with a goal again. I don't know how many times we need to say it. Wasn't a great performance, didn't create bundles of chances. Sheffield Wednesday had a couple of their own. But Sheffield United just keep grinding out results. They did it yet again. And the fact that they're not at the best, but keep managing to do it every single week, is starting to make me think they'll get over the line here. Coventry, on the flip side, have been in brilliant goal-scoring form. Take away that one blip at Derby, where they were probably the better side. It's been raining goals. They have conceded a few, but that stopped against Sunderland too. A 3-0 victory, a Haji Wright hat-trick, a brilliant performance from him, and it was a thoroughly deserved victory. Coventry dominated the game from start to finish and deservedly got a comfortable win. Got to praise the job that Frank Lampard and his team are doing. Got to say Chris Wilder is still eking something out of the Sheffield United team. They don't concede many at home. It's a very hard game to call. Part of me thinks Sheffield United win it by the odd goal because that's just what they keep doing when they're not playing well. And part of me thinks that when they've come up against the very top teams in form, such as Leeds, they have struggled and Coventry are scoring goals, so they might nick something. I was so tempted to go for the Championship's favourite scoreline, but I'm going to trust my instinct. I think Chris Wilder finds a way to get the result, as he so often has this year. I'm going for Sheffield United by 2-1, but it would not shock me if Coventry got something. So you can come and join me on Friday night and laugh in my face if I'm getting that wrong. As we move on to Saturday and start at the early kickoff, I'm going to be at the first of 2. It is a huge game at the other end of the table. It is Hull City versus Luton Town. 6 points separate the sides, with Hull currently 3 clear of the relegation zone from Derby County. If Luton win, they can pile the pressure on the likes of Cardiff and Stoke moving into the rest of the weekend. For now though, Hull City have been in decent form against those bottom sides at home, eking out the odd victory against Oxford and Plymouth, where again they weren't brilliant in all of those games, and picking up crucial points on the road against the top sides. We've mentioned it before, a lot of their best performances have come there. However, Luton Town have played a little bit better in recent weeks as well. Yes, they weren't brilliant in their wins against Pompey and Cardiff, but it was an excellent performance against Middlesbrough. There is a problem that no striker other than Jacob Brown at the club has scored a goal in 2025 in the league, and he is now out for the season. But Talif Chong's back in training. They're just starting to get a couple of defenders back. And for the first time, they didn't really give much up either. I can't remember the last game Thomas Kaminski didn't have a shot to save. But Luton Town not taking clear-cut chances. And ultimately, I'm starting to fear it's going to cost them. Hull City, we know, are setting up in a far more cautious way at the minute. They're grinding out results, which is what you have to do at this stage of the year. And to come back from behind against West Brom at the Hawthorns and get a result in another very good counter-attacking display really does bode well. And it bothers me that this game will probably end up the same way. Luton will have more of the ball. They'll almost play like the home team, and Hull will just wait to hit them on the counter where we are so vulnerable. We've seen Hull win by the odd goal at home before. I'd love to see a Luton win. I'd love to see an entertaining game. I've just got a feeling that Hull will nick it 1-0. So I have to go for head over heart here and hope that I'm very wrong on my Saturday travels. 1-0 to Hull City. And the second early kickoff features Luton's rivals Watford, who host Plymouth Argyle. Watford, of course, giving a crucial victory to Oxford before the international break just to pull them away from Luton as well. A late red card for the young defender Abankwah, and Sariki Dembele took advantage. But look, it's been a decent campaign for Watford, but now that 5-point gap is starting to look a bit bigger. They probably edged the game and edged the possession and the chances prior to the red card. Again, you've got to grind out results at this time of the season. It's all good playing well. You've got to find a way to win. Watford didn't take their chances, made crucial mistakes late on at the back. For Plymouth, it's starting to look like the race is run, isn't it? I say that, they're only 2 points behind Luton, but 6 points from safety. And another away game where, bar that Pompey miracle last time, they've just not been in form. They were beaten at home to Derby in what felt like a crucial encounter last time out. Marcus Harness getting that late winner. Final nail in the coffin perhaps for the survival chances. Was an okay performance. A draw probably would have been a fair result. And the risk here for Plymouth is that draws are no longer an acceptable result. A bit like Luton. They have to come out. They have to try and get something. And Plymouth are just the worst defence by a mile. 77 conceded this year. That brief spell of good form defensively when Katic and the like joined has dried up, hasn't it? 2 conceded against Hull, 3 against Sheffield Wednesday, 3 against Derby. And Watford, for all of their frailties this year, have been pretty good at the back at home. They're doing all right there. They beat Luton, they beat Swansea with clean sheets. I know the Millwall game was disappointing. I think Watford win this comfortably. They're not the side you want to have to come out against because they're lethal on the counter. I think Watford win comfortably. I'm going to go by 3-0. Let's move on to the 3 p.m. kickoffs, and we start with a big game in a battle for promotion and the playoffs again. It is Burnley versus Bristol City. Doesn't promise to be the highest scoring one, does it? Burnley with another good away win, another efficient display. 2-0 to Swansea City, got 2 early goals, and then there is no better team at being in the lead than Burnley. They just sit in a shape, wait to hit on the counter, and they're rock solid. They created a couple of good chances early, and that's all they needed to do. So you've got to say fair play. To concede 11 goals in 38 games, they're going to go down as one of the best ever championship defences. And the question is, are they going to have enough going forward to get themselves over the line? Just 2 behind Leeds and Sheffield United. This is a real chance to close the gap. But they're against a Bristol City team who, one of the form teams in the division, almost starting to trust them now. They've had a couple of disappointing draws on the road, although against Sheffield United you'd consider it a good result. And again, they found a way to be efficient against Norwich. And I keep using that word, but Bristol City and efficient is not a thing that you can take lightly. They've been so unpredictable for 4 or 5 years, and Liam Manning has made them versatile and capable of winning games in different ways. It was actually a pretty poor performance overall against Norwich. I think officially Norwich have 5 clear-cut chances. If you watch the highlights, they probably could have scored 3 or 4 on another day. But Bristol City just keep winning. They held on in that last 10 minutes after Borja Sainz got one back. It was gritty defensively. And again, they've shown their qualities in different areas. So really impressed with them. And again, I get a perfect score. But I do think the unbeaten run is going to come to an end. It's not like me to be getting perfect scores galore with Bristol City. They'll be hoping that I don't this weekend, because I'm going to go for Burnley to win an ugly game by 1-0. Let's move on to a big game at the bottom as Cardiff City host Sheffield Wednesday. Wednesday, after that defeat in the derby, arguably one of the sides with not much to play for now. 6 points off the playoffs with 8 to go and a whole host of teams between them. It was actually a decent display, but again, not quite as good in front of goal as Sheffield United, and just got frustrated in the end. But look, they've made huge progress this season. Danny Roll's doing a wonderful job. Are they going to back him again this summer, or is he only going to force him out? I think that's the only thing Wednesday fans have got to worry about now. For Cardiff, a pivotal win. They were in woeful form, but a brilliant and crucial win against Blackburn Rovers. Yaku Meite popping up with a pivotal goal. And to be fair, they were decent value for it. They hit on the counter, they created chances on the break, and we'll get to it later. It's not started well for Valerian Ishmael, but it was a good display from Cardiff tactically. A very rare away win for them, backing up that whole home win about a month before. And this game becomes crucial as well. As a Luton fan, I'll be hoping desperately that Sheffield Wednesday find a result. And I think they might do here, because again, Cardiff are going to have to try and get the win. Every game of theirs seems to be decided by the odd goal. They either win 2-1 or they lose 2-1. And as they're playing a better side now, or a side in better form, as they did when they faced the likes of Sunderland and Burnley, I'm going to go for Sheffield Wednesday to win this game. They're not going to keep a clean sheet either. I'm going to go by 2-1. Up to the top of the table next, as we look at Leeds United versus Swansea. But Leeds are only just there. Are they faltering at the wrong time again? Just one win in their last 4 matches after that crucial run of games on Monday night against Sheffield United, Sunderland. Maybe thought the job was done, but they've come crashing back down to earth. For a little while, it looked like it was going to be another one of those days, didn't it? At QPR, the 4-0 that pretty much cost them promotion last year. They were 2 down in half an hour in this one as well. Maybe recovering and getting a point will actually prove to be a good thing for them in the end. But it wasn't the free-flowing leads we've seen before, and perhaps giving up the 2-goal lead was part of the reason, because they ended up with lots of possession, not being able to get in behind much, and being frustrated for the most part. But a good point, a good result in the end. It keeps them top of the table. But at home to a Swansea side who have lost back-to-back games against Watford and Burnley, who have scored 1 goal in their last 4 matches, it has got to be the time they respond. Swansea still doing okay under Alan Sheehan. They're not a bad side, but Leeds have got to be winning at home to them if they want to go up in the top 2. I think they will do so. I think it'll be a comfortable day. I think Swansea will set up to limit the damage, to be pretty defensively solid. And although there'll be robust opposition, I think Leeds beat them by 2-0. As we move on to another big game at both ends of the table, and to be fair, what a crucial win it was for the visitors in this one, because it is Middlesbrough versus Oxford United. We'll start with Oxford, who moved 4 clear of the relegation zone with that crucial late win against Watford. Not the best display. Watford edged it for about 75 minutes, but they took advantage of the red cards. Sariki Dembele, those are the moments they sign him for to pop up with big goals. And in a game where they had very little possession and not that many chances, they grabbed a crucial 1-0 win. So a much needed one after a long winless run. Gary Rowett will be a very relieved man. Whereas for Middlesbrough, I've got to be honest, I was surprised. A lot of this season, they've not taken their chances, which is fine. At Luton, to not have a shot on target against one of the worst defences we've produced in years, it really did concern me for their point of view, because I had them as the shoe-in favourites for 6th still. Luton dominated the game, and any strike force in form would have put Borough to the sword there. They were pretty poor defensively. They didn't offer much going forward. In the end, they were pretty fortunate to get a point, if I'm being honest. So a little bit surprised by Borough, but at home, they have been much better in recent weeks. They beat Derby and they beat QPR without being brilliant. They seem to find a way to score at home a bit easier. So I'm going to go for them to win this game. Oxford got a crucial win. This isn't the sort of game that they're going to have to target. Away from home, they've been pretty dismal most of the year. They'll set up to limit the damage, but if they concede early, I can see this being a big home win. I'm going to go for 3-0 for the second time today. I think Borough will hit back in style. 4 to go as we move on to mid-table v playoffs. It is Norwich City versus West Bromwich Albion. A pretty frustrating weekend for both last time out, because Norwich, I mean, how they lost at Bristol City, I'll never know. Yes, defensively, they've been suspect all season, and this is why David Wagner set them up the way he did, which went against all of his usual principles from his previous clubs, because that defence needs protecting. And in a game where Norwich City had 5 official clear-cut chances, had countless opportunities to score, they come out with a 2-1 defeat, and their away form lets them down again. Pretty entertaining side to watch, but defensively, gave it away, and unfortunately just did not take their chances. One of those days, but another frustrating away day. They're going to have to bounce back at home, because they're now 8 points off the playoffs. You feel anything other than perfection is probably not enough. And they're coming up against a West Brom side who just seem to want to draw 1-1 every week. Yes, the one the week before against Burnley and the week before against Leeds were great, but at home to Hull City, not so much. We know it's not the first top side. Hull have done that too on the break, but West Bromwich Albion had a lot of the ball, but still gave up most of the best chances in the game. Not ideal for Tony Mowbray's side there. They're more stumbling than cruising into the playoffs at the minute. I still think they're going to get there defensively. I think they're probably too good not to overall. In this game, it's going to be a tough one because Norwich are a good creative side, and at home, while they're always going to give you a chance or two, they tend to score plenty of goals. There's part of me that thinks I have to go for a 1-1 draw here. Norwich have drawn 3 of their last 6 1-1. West Brom have drawn 4 of their last 6 1-1. I'd be a fool to go for anything else, wouldn't I? Championship's favourite scoreline incoming. Let's move to the bottom again, and a side that thought they might have been out of trouble a couple of weeks ago. It is Portsmouth versus Blackburn Rovers. Let's start with Blackburn, whose playoff hopes have just sort of dwindled away after John Eustace left. Valérien Ismaël has come in and it has not started well, bless him. Defeats against Cardiff, Stoke and Derby, all in a relegation battle. Pretty disastrous for my side, Luton, as well, so cheers for that, Valérien. Narrow defeats, but just doesn't quite look the same, does it? A lot of games being settled by 1 goal, but the crucial thing for me is under John Eustace, teams at home created chances, and Blackburn, with the quality they've got, a lot of the ball, but 2 shots on target against a Cardiff defence that's conceded over 60 goals and is the worst bar Plymouth in the Championship. Not really good enough, is it? They now come up against the 3rd worst defence in the Championship, as Portsmouth, following a 2-1 defeat against Preston, might consider themselves back in trouble. A poor week losing to them, and of course losing the other game as well against Plymouth, which arguably was more damaging. They were second best in this game. Preston probably could have scored more. But we know Pompey aren't great on the road. We know they're not the best defensively. When they're getting their results, they're producing big home displays. I actually think this is one of their most winnable left this season, given the way Blackburn are playing now. Perhaps the time on the training ground with Ismaël will have helped Blackburn adapt into a slightly different style of play. But Pompey are still in decent home form overall. I think they're going to nick this game. I think they'll be out the blocks quickly. I think one more win and they're probably close to out of trouble. So I'm going to go for Portsmouth to nick this one at Fratton Park by 2-1. And the penultimate game is another huge one in that relegation race. It is Stoke City versus QPR. Stoke looking over the shoulders again after another late goal conceded. They did it against Coventry in stoppage time, and they did it away at Millwall as well. A 94th minute penalty. Mark Robins must be tearing his hair out. Some of that decision making at the end, really, really frustrating for a manager. They didn't offer anything going forward, really. Had one chance all game. Millwall were the better side without busting the door down. Again, late goals conceded. Story of the season for Stoke City, especially since Stephen Schumacher left very early in the year. The only positive for Stoke is they won their last home game. They drew at home to Watford the home game before that. They've shown better defensive displays recently when they've been in front of their own fans. And they're coming up against a QPR side that, since virtually securing their own safety with that 4-0 win against Derby, have been pretty abysmal themselves. They did start quickly against Leeds, who they just seem to be brilliant against every time. In the end, it was a decent result. They gave up the ball a lot, but they got themselves another point on the board, which I think a couple more and they're probably officially safe. So this is going to be another tough game to call. There's a lot more riding on it for Stoke. We have seen that QPR have struggled in recent weeks, but they've played top teams. They've played Borough, West Brom, Sheffield United, and a Pompey side scrapping for their lives. This Stoke side are doing the same, but they're not quite as strong. Are they going to be able to keep another clean sheet? I don't think so. They're going to have to come out and target this game. I do think they're going to nick it purely because there's so much more riding on it for them. And Mark Robins, I'll trust to get the job done. I don't want to say it as a Luton fan, especially as I've predicted us to lose. I think Stoke might nick this one by 2-1. And the final game of the weekend, I think, means very little now for the home side. It is Sunderland versus Millwall. Do Sunderland prepare for the playoffs? They're 11 points behind with 8 games to go. It's not going to happen, is it? Millwall themselves looking up at the playoffs, 6 points behind. And that late penalty against Stoke has probably just about kept them in the race. A really important win in a game where they were better. But we've said it since Alex Neil came in. We've said it for the year before as well. Neil Harris created a really solid base there after Joe Edwards had a pretty disastrous run. Unfortunately, Millwall just haven't got the firepower and the creative sparks consistently. They're going to have to address that in the summer while trying to keep some of that solidity at the back. But for now, I don't think they're quite going to have enough. But another good win. Alex Neil's doing a really good job. but Millwall still scoring less than 1 a game, which ultimately is not enough for the playoffs. For Sunderland, we mentioned the performances had dried up a little bit. The result and the performance against Coventry was pretty woeful, wasn't it? They were outplayed from start to finish. They gave up bundles of chances, created very little of their own. It was an off day. It's a bad time to be hitting poor form. And we said it again. We said it last week, and I got a bit of stick for it. I don't think Sunderland's defence has been as solid or as good as the top three. It's a huge improvement on last year with the likes of Mepaming, etc. But they are not as strong as the top three sides, and that unfortunately is going to cost them. They have outscored Burnley and Sheffield United. At the other end, they're flying in a bit more regularly. I think this is going to be a tough game for them as well, because Millwall are going to ask to be broken down. And the only way Sunderland open the scoring is either taking advantage with a long-range strike where they're going to get a bit of time, 30, 35 yards out, or are they going to be able to take advantage of a set piece? You wouldn't have thought so against Millwall, albeit they've been worse from them than normal this year. I think this is a really hard game to call. I'm not sure what to go for. So I'll go for the same score as Sunderland's last home game. I'll sit on the fence for the final one of the weekend. The Championship's favourite scoreline here of 1 goal apiece. So with that out of the way, let's have a quick recap of what I've gone for this weekend. 2 big home wins for Watford against Plymouth and Borough against Oxford by 3-0. I predicted I'm watching a 1-0 defeat for Luton at Hull City, which will plunge them into trouble, given that I've gone for a Stoke City win and, of course, a Hull City win against them. At the top of the table, I've got all of the big 3 to win, so that race is going to the wire. You agree or disagree with my predictions, though? Do you think there'll be more than 2 Championships favourite scorelines? Let me know in the comments below. If you beat or match my overall score, you will get a shout out in the recap on Sunday when we look ahead to the rearranged midweek fixture. We'll then return on Thursday to look ahead to a full weekend fixture list with Matchweek 40 on the horizon, where Luton face Leeds. Oh joy. In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this one, please do chuck a thumbs up on it. Subscribe and turn that notification bell on to stay up to date with a lot, including our live stream on Friday night whilst we watch along with Sheffield United v Coventry. That one's live on free-to-air TV, so if you're in the UK, come and join us for a bit of football chat. And I'll see you back here on Sunday evening as we look ahead to the rearranged midweek fixture.